Starting the show with two cases of alleged corruption in the Delhi liquor policy case, Manish Sisodia is now arrested by the ED. This arrest comes a day before his bail application in the CBI case was to be heard. Meanwhile, in Karnataka, BJP MLA Madal Virupakshappa appeared before the Lokayukta today in a disproportionate assets and bribery case. He has already secured an interim anticipatory bail. Meanwhile, Manish Sisodia has written a letter to the nation from the jail. Manish Sisodia has said it's easier to jail people than to educate children. Arvind is now joining us with more details on this. Arvind, first of all, what does this ED arrest now mean for Manish Sisodia? Because his bail application in the CBI case was to come up tomorrow.
Yeah, Maha, the Enforcement Directorate has taken Manish Sisodia into custody. The agency has arrested Manish Sisodia from Tihar jail after the Central Bureau of Investigation arrested him and took him into 7 days of custody, post which he was sent to Tihar jail for 14 days under judicial custody by the CBI court. So the Enforcement Directorate had moved the CBI court seeking permission to question him inside the jail premises in connection with this money laundering investigation that the agency initiated based on CBI's FIR. So after 2 days of questioning, recording his statement under Section 50 of PMLA, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Manish Sisodia, and this formal arrest has been made inside Tihar jail. So tomorrow at around 2 p.m., that's on Friday at around 2 p.m., Manish Sisodia will be produced before the competent court where the Enforcement Directorate will seek his further custody. But it comes at a time, a day ahead, a day before the CBI court is all set to hear the bail plea of Manish Sisodia in the CBI case, because both the agencies are investigating this particular case. After CBI arrest, Manish Sisodia's legal team had moved the bail plea before the CBI court, but a day before the CBI court was all set to hear his bail plea, the Enforcement Directorate moved in wherein they have arrested him, and then he'll be produced at around 2 p.m. on Friday. So the bail hearing will happen simultaneously, but the Enforcement Directorate will take him into custody. So even if he secures bail in the CBI case, until he secures bail in the Enforcement Directorate case, Manish Sisodia cannot come out of jail.
All right, that's one case here going on in Delhi. Let's go across to the other case of alleged corruption from Karnataka. Shrija is joining us with more details on that. Shrija, how long has the questioning in the case been underway by the Lokayukta? Any details coming in?
Well, the questioning has been a little over 2 hours. In fact, it is still underway. And this is with respect to where Madal Virupaksha's son, he was taken into custody, arrested by the Lokayukta sleuths after he was caught red-handed by the Lokayukta sleuths, accepting nearly 40 lakh rupees as a bribe. This was at the BJP MLA's office. So the BJP MLA has appeared before the Lokayukta to also, in fact, what he did say 2 days ago was that he will be producing all the related documents with respect to the seizure, because the seizure was not just at 41 lakhs, because following which we understand the Lokayukta carried out raids at the BJP MLA's office where they had recovered a total of 2.02 crore rupees, and thereafter they continued their search at the Madal Virupaksha's son's residence as well, where they had recovered a little over 6 crores. So a total of 8 crore rupees was recovered by the Lokayukta sleuths, and this particular corruption, like you did point out, has, comes at a time where, the state is going to polls in May 2023. And also it seems to be a big dent as far as the BJP is concerned. And as we speak, even BJP Nadda, national president, he's also taking out in a public rally. This, as far as the opposition is concerned, the opposition goes on to say this is just simply a diversion tactics deployed by especially the central leaders, instead of sacking this particular BJP MLA, or even for that matter what the opposition is calling for, the sacking for the chief minister because of 40% corruption. The opposition is going on targeting especially the ruling dispensation, and especially asking the centre to, in fact, instead concentrate on what exactly the state requires rather than letting their leaders go on a loose as far as 40% corruption goes.
All right, Shrija and Arvind, both of you, many thanks for getting us all those details in these two separate cases. Meanwhile, Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao's daughter and MLC K. Kavitha will appear before the Enforcement Directorate on Saturday in the Delhi liquor policy case. She has lashed out at the BJP, calling it an intimidation tactic by the BJP.
Telangana Chief Minister's son and daughter launching an all-out attack on the centre as K. Kavitha prepares to be questioned by the Enforcement Directorate on March 11th. This in the Delhi liquor policy money laundering case where she is accused of obtaining stakes in Indo Spirits Limited, which secured wholesale license through Arun Pillai.
From last August, in fact from last June, Government of India has constantly been sending its agencies to Telangana. Now question is why? Because Telangana assembly polls are there in this November, December. So the modus operandi of BJP has been कि जहाँ भी election है, वहाँ मोदी से पहले ED पहुँच जाता है.
Ahead of the summons, Kavitha is using a protest tomorrow, demanding the passage of Women's Reservation Bill in the Parliament as a platform for at least 18 opposition parties, but not the Congress.
अगर सही में कांग्रेस पार्टी चाहती है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी को 2024 में हराए, तो they should leave their arrogance. They should come down, they should become a team player, they should work with all the parties to make sure BJP loses the next election.
Elections are due in Telangana later this year, and the Chief Minister has set his sights on a larger national role in the run-up to the next general election. Responding to Kavitha's allegations that since last June, there have been more than 100 CBI raids, 200 ED raids, and over 500 income tax raids in Telangana because of elections, Union Minister Krishna Reddy from Telangana counter-attacked.
BRS सरकार आने वाले इस साल में जो असेंबली चुनाव होगा, किसी भी हालत में केसीआर हारने वाला है. तेलंगाना जनता तय किया है. ये परिवार राज, भ्रष्टाचार राज, एक डिक्टेटरशिप, ये निजाम राज, मजलिस के साथ मिलकर जो राज करने वाले है, वो सरकार हमारे को नहीं चाहिए, ऐसा आज तेलंगाना जनता चर्चा कर रही है.
18 opposition parties likely to participate in the protest to be headed by BRS leader Kavitha in Jantar Mantar on Friday over Women Reservation Bill, while Congress has decided to stay away from it, citing the sentiment of its Telangana unit, which is gearing up to take on KCR in the upcoming assembly elections in the state. With camera person AJ Joseph, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
Well, and Aam Aadmi Party MLAs Atishi and Saurabh Bharadwaj are now ministers in the Delhi cabinet. They take on the portfolios of Manish Sisodia and Satyen Jain, the two jailed ministers. But Atishi made it clear that this move is only temporary because their leaders are innocent and will take on their jobs once free.
मैं आतिशी मांडीना सत्यनिष्ठा से प्रतिज्ञान करती हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित
Aam Aadmi Party firebrand Atishi and chief spokesperson Saurabh Bharadwaj taking oath as Delhi ministers. Days after, jailed AAP leaders Manish Sisodia and Satyen Jain quit the cabinet. The new ministers will handle the flagship schemes of Arvind Kejriwal's Delhi governance plank. One of the key architects of Manish Sisodia's education model in Delhi, Atishi now has the charge of the education ministry. Saurabh Bharadwaj, meanwhile, has replaced Satyen Jain as the capital's new health minister.
मुश्किल परिस्थिति है और इस मुश्किल परिस्थिति में उनकी जिम्मेदारियां हमें संभालने को मिली हैं. वो दोनों जब जेल से छूटेंगे और हम उम्मीद करते हैं वो जल्द से जल्द हो, तो फिर से वो दोनों ही अपनी जिम्मेदारी को संभालेंगे.
जैसे भगवान राम 14 साल के वनवास पे भेजे गए और उनके पीछे उनके छोटे भाई भरत ने उनकी जिम्मेदारी संभाली, हम दोनों भी उसी तरीके से उनकी जिम्मेदारी संभालने के लिए यहाँ पे हैं.
The BJP, meanwhile, intensified its attack on Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal as two former ministers of the Aam Aadmi Party continue to languish in jail in separate corruption cases.
आम आदमी पार्टी आधिकारिक रूप से कह रही है कि जेल में मनीष सिसोदिया जी को खतरा है. मनीष सिसोदिया के पास अरविंद केजरीवाल के राज है, तो क्या मनीष सिसोदिया राज उगल न दें, इसलिए अरविंद केजरीवाल अपनी ही जेल में मनीष सिसोदिया के खिलाफ कुछ साजिश कर रहे हैं. जेल प्रशासन मनीष सिसोदिया की सुरक्षा बढ़ाए और मनीष सिसोदिया को अत्यधिक सुरक्षित वातावरण में रखा जाए ताकि अरविंद केजरीवाल और उनके लोग मनीष सिसोदिया के खिलाफ कोई साजिश न कर सकें जान से मारने की.
Two new ministers being inducted in the Delhi cabinet in Arvind Kejriwal's bid to assure the people that the Aam Aadmi Party model of governance that he's pitching in other election-bound states is still intact. But the big question, how will he revive his clean image with two of his closest aides in jail and battling serious corruption charges? In New Delhi with camera person Sudesh Vedant for NDTV.
Well, and India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, saw another first today, a visit on board by a foreign Prime Minister. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, who's on a visit to India, received a guard of honour on board the carrier today. Albanese said what lifts the defence relationship to a new level is the resolve and foresight of those who see the relationship not only as what it is, but what it could be. Vishnu Shom explains the import of these developments in the Indo-Pacific.
This may look like a photo opportunity, but there's a lot more in this visit to INS Vikrant by the visiting Australian Prime Minister. The clearest ever sign of the strategic alignment between New Delhi and Canberra. The common concern is China, and Mr. Albanese made it clear that India lies at the heart of Australia's approach to the Indo-Pacific and beyond. What's more, India is a top-tier security partner, and the Indian Ocean is central to both the country's security and prosperity.
And there has never been a point in both of our countries' histories where we've had such a strong strategic alignment, and we share an unwavering commitment to upholding the rules-based international order and ensuring the Indo-Pacific is open, inclusive and prosperous.
The visit of Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, comes at a time when the US intelligence community, in a report to the US Congress, has spelled out that the situation between India and China, two armed nuclear neighbors, could be a potential flashpoint. The report says the expanded military postures by both India and China along the disputed border elevate the risk of armed confrontation between two nuclear powers that might involve direct threats to US persons and interests and calls for US intervention. While the nature of US intervention is not spelled out and it's unclear if New Delhi would accept any, Australia shares concerns on China's growing military presence in the South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific area. This is an area of common concern for both nations. In fact, for the first time ever, Australia will host the high-profile Malabar naval exercises with India, the US and Japan as partner nations off the coast of Perth in August this year. Australia is also now in the process of stepping up its own naval defences by acquiring up to 5 nuclear-powered attack submarines from the US. It's the first time ever that the US is exporting nuclear-powered submarines. Australia will retain 100% control over the use of these subs, a key guarantee that Canberra pushed for. The Virginia-class submarines being acquired are at the cutting edge of America's submarine arsenal. Mr. Albanese's visit to India comes a week before the arrival of the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida to India, another key strategic partner of New Delhi, and also a key partner in the Quad process. What is the Quad? It is the grouping composed of India, Japan, Australia and the United States, whose foreign ministers met here just last week at the end of the meeting of foreign ministers of G20 nations. So what exactly are the US, Japan, Australia and India concerned about? Here are some details. In 2025, 2 years later, China, which already has the world's largest navy, will operate 440 warships. In 2030, 5 years after that, the US Navy, the world's preeminent navy since the end of the Second World War, will operate 291 warships. That's a whopping 149 warships less than China. A recent US report to Congress has expressed concerns, in fact alarm, regarding the pace of China's shipbuilding effort. For India, this Chinese naval base in Djibouti in the Horn of Africa is a huge concern. We've got images over there. It is China's first overseas naval base, and as these satellite images show, China has already begun deploying their warships in this area.
Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, who's also the State Finance Minister, presented the Eknath Shinde-led government's first budget for the year 23-24 in the State Assembly. So cash payouts dominated the Shinde government's first budget. Annual cash benefit of 6,000 rupees for farmers of Maharashtra, insurance cover of 5 lakh rupees for fisher folks, 1,800 rupees cash benefits for farmers of 14 suicide-hit districts, girls from below poverty line to get 75,000 rupees from state government till the age of 18. Mediclaim cover to BPL families under the Mahatma Phule Jeevan Daye Yojana will be to the tune of 5 lakh rupees. Meanwhile, 50% discount for women using state transport system. The Prime Minister Modi Awas Yojana is going to construct, in fact, 1 million budget-friendly homes in the next 3 years. Our focus is going to be on the farmers, women, youth, employment and environment in this budget. That's been the focus largely. Now in Maharashtra, there has been crop destruction because of unseasonal rains. On the other side, in Madhya Pradesh, heavy rains and hailstorm, which started late on Monday evening with strong winds, wreaked havoc on the standing rabi crops, especially wheat and chana. The state government has directed the district administration to start the survey to find out the extent of damage so that relief could be provided to the farmers.
Bearing the brunt of unseasonal rains, farmers like Jagannath Singh Thakur arrived at their fields in Rampura Jagir of Vidisha district only to see the crops destroyed across several acres of land. Nirak Singh's family lives in Neelbird near Bhopal. They are dependent on 8 acres of land, but now half the crop of wheat has been damaged.
अब देखने में तो ऐसे कि कम दिखा रही है, अपन आवे रहेंगे ना, उससे कछु गिर जाएंगे, कुछ लटक जाएंगे, वहीं रह जाएंगे, कुछ ऐसा रहेगा। काटने के बाद मालूम ज़्यादा पड़ेगा। साल भर की मेहनत है, अंधमा में आड़ी हो गई, खाद पानी मेहनत, ट्रैक्टर डीजल सब गया। अब देखते कितना मिला काटने के बाद।
Major damage to standing rabi crops including wheat, gram and pulses has been reported from 18 districts across Madhya Pradesh. The state government has directed district administrations to start the survey to find out the extent of damage so that relief could be provided to farmers.
अब सभी जिलों में जहां नुकसान है और जिलों में भी जिन क्षेत्र में नुकसान है वहां सर्वे का काम चल रहा है, पूरा अमला लगा हुआ है। किसानों से मैंने उस दिन भी कहा था, मैं फिर अपने किसान बहनों भाइयों से कह रहा हूं, जिनका नुकसान हुआ है वो चिंता ना करें, मैं साथ हूं, सरकार साथ है।
The meteorological department has forecast heavy rains over the next few days in the region.
14-15 मार्च के आसपास आपका दोबारा फिर से थंडरस्टॉर्म शुरू हो जाएगा। ऐसा ही सीवियरिटी के साथ थंडरस्टॉर्म्स आएगा। मध्य प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, पूर्वी राजस्थान, इन सभी इलाकों में सीवियर मतलब फिर से थंडरस्टॉर्म्स का जो एक स्पेल जैसा हम बोलते हैं दोबारा आने की उम्मीद है, क्योंकि एक 12 तारीख के रात से हम एक वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंस एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं।
As per initial estimate, 10 to 40% crop has been damaged in 18 districts across Madhya Pradesh. Also, moisture weakens quality of wheat and hence lower price for the farmers. With Parimal Kumar in Delhi and camera person Rizwan Khan in Bhopal, Anurag Dwari for NDTV.